And then there's Cisco. Cisco CEO Chuck Robbins has only been on the job for 11 weeks, but he's no stranger to the customer's evolving demands. I spoke with Robbins in his first business interview since taking the top job at Cisco and asked him what the company needs to do now to have the kind of growth that it has seen in the past.
Well, when we look at what our customers are trying to accomplish today, they're moving regardless. And every CEO, every company in the world, every country is trying to better understand IoT, this digitization phase, and frankly, they're trying to understand what are the implications for my business, what threats might it create, and what opportunities might it create, and they're all thinking about, you know, the opportunity for them to actually disrupt their industry and disrupt their own business models. So we see customers moving regardless.
Did Cisco coin the term the Internet of Things?
Well, we actually talk about the Internet of Everything, which is a combination of the devices, the people, the process, and the data, because it's more than just connecting. Connecting new things really doesn't have any inherent value. And every company has to think about how you change your processes based on these connections. What do you do with that data? You know, the analytics and the information and the insights that you can gain from the data is actually the most valuable thing that you gain from the connection in the first place, and it just unleashes tremendous opportunity.
Companies move to the cloud to save money. Tell me about the growth expectations for that business.
Actually, what you find is that our customers are saying they're not moving to the cloud to save money. What it's providing them is greater flexibility, greater agility, the ability to provision their infrastructure up and down based on demand. And I think increasingly what we're going to do is provide customers that same capability in their private infrastructure. And then we will enable the use of their private infrastructure for mission critical applications and the data that they really want to maintain inside their enterprise. And then we'll enable the hybrid connectivity so that they can get the best of both worlds and leverage public and private clouds. And frankly, we work with the public cloud providers to help them build out their capabilities. We work with the enterprise customers to help them build out not only their private capabilities, but also the interconnection between the two.
What industries are most poised to be doing this and making this transition right now? Where is the growth at Cisco as it relates to the cloud?
Well, when you think about what's happening with digitization, it's going to create an environment where our customers are going to have these massively distributed infrastructures that are going to be made up of private and public clouds. And I think that the industries that are seeing the benefit of this new connectivity, we see it in manufacturing, we see it in retail, we see it hopefully beginning in healthcare. And so those are the industries that are beginning to see the benefit of connecting the manufacturing floor or in retail, taking analytics and information that you can gain from the network and actually correlating what you know about your customer with where are they in the store, and you can do some really interesting things and actually engage with that customer in a much higher value way based on what you know about them and where they are in your retail environment. So there's a lot of exciting things going on.
But are you seeing the kind of reception that you would expect, given what you've just said, when you layer on the fact that we're looking at a global slowdown?
Well, if you look at what's happening, customers are trying to figure out how can I be more efficient? How can I save money? How can I drive greater revenue? How can I drive a different level of intimacy with my customer? And the technology is enabling that.
We talk a lot about tax reform on this program and what needs to be done for really to make corporate America willing to hire more people. And I know I've spoken with your predecessor quite a bit about tax reform and about all the cash on the balance sheet. How much are you at right now in terms of cash on the balance sheet?
$60 billion.
$60 billion, yes. Much of which is overseas,
That's
correct? What would you like to see from a policy level in terms of tax reform to actually get you to bring some of that money back to the U.S.?
Well, Maria, we're optimistic right now because there is a great deal of work going on in Washington around this particular topic. And when you think about what's needed for the infrastructure in the United States, there's work being done. Paul Ryan is helping lead this initiative where we would actually connect the repatriation of these funds with the establishment of this infrastructure fund. And then, frankly, we need to reform tax policy so that it makes U.S. companies more competitive on a global scale. And I think that there might be an opportunity right now, and we're optimistic about it.
In terms of tax reform. So on the subject of allocating your cash,
yes.
What are the priorities? You're on the job, 11 weeks right now?
11 weeks.
As CEO of one of the great companies in the world, Cisco, what are your priorities in terms of how you're investing some of your cash right now?
Well, we're looking at where our cash can drive future growth, and we'll look at acquisitions as we always have in that space. We've also committed to our shareholders to return 50% of free cash flow through dividends and buybacks, and we're committed to that as well. So it depends on what's happening in the market, where are the opportunities. Things are moving very rapidly, and I think you'll see us be opportunistic on the acquisition side, but we're also very committed to the capital return strategy that we've had.
So as you look at your agenda, new leader of this company, what are your priorities?
Well, there are four things that we really looked at early on with my team, and one of them is how do we accelerate those things that are really working, and let's be candid with ourselves about the things that aren't. How do we really drive our culture, because our culture is so important internally, as well as how we treat our partners, how we treat our customers, how we treat our investors. The second is or the third is around simplicity and clarity. The pace at which we have to move requires us to drive a level of simplicity in everything we do and a level of clarity in how we communicate that we never have before. Everything we do is incredibly complicated, but it's our responsibility to really simplify that. And then I think the fourth thing that's so important for us is really a very dynamic operational capability, because this world is moving very fast.
Our thanks to Cisco CEO Chuck Robbins for joining us there.